back at it with Michelle, one of the owners of Ives Insurance. I was going to say West ID because that's my other people that I talked to, Ives Insurance. We want to talk because a lot of people, and including myself, because after these fires are going on in California, I'm all of a sudden like, oh my gosh, do I need to have a list of like, if we have to evacuate, what do we take? I got kids in the house, I got a husband over here. Like, what do we do? And maybe some tips and tricks around all of that.
Yeah.
So let's start there. Like, do you write a list? What do you do? Like,
Yeah. So kind of starting from the basics on what do we do now, looking back and what can we take and learn from
Yeah.
all of this. First, I would highly suggest you look at your homeowner's policy
Okay.
and make sure that you have your coverages in a good spot, that you feel good, you understand what's on your policy, you're covered properly.
And if you don't understand, like, stop what you're doing and like make an appointment with the person that you should be talking
Yes.
to. And that's what's so important. Didn't want to cut you off,
No,
but
you're right.
having like more of an independent, like, would you call it brokerage-ish? Like,
Yeah.
like an
Yeah, yeah.
independent where you can call Michelle or one of her peeps here and really dive into what is covered.
Yeah.
Because you're paying this every year.
Absolutely.
So you need to understand
And
it.
not everything is the same. There's exclusions, limits.
And I'm talking to myself too. So
There's a lot that needs to happen. Construction costs are going to change, things are going to change, and policies and companies now too, they're adding water exclusions on policies now. And that's one of the main things that a homeowner's policy would cover.
Oh,
So you want to know what you have and what you don't have and be aware of that.
okay.
So that would be the starting point. The next thing is looking at the asset itself, the home, right? What can you do so that if a fire were to happen or a total loss or even just a kitchen fire were to happen, what are ways to be prepared for that? One of the biggest suggestions that I've had or that I make is to take your cell phone and do a video of all the rooms in the house. It's a little tedious to do. I would highly suggest you open up all your drawers, junk drawers. There's things in there because what happens is when a claim happens, or if a claim, knock on wood, happens, the insurance company is going to ask you, okay, what's the inventory? What did you lose? And you're going to have to make a list. And that's traumatic in itself to have a fire or a water loss or something like that. But to have to think about, oh my gosh, what is in my junk drawer? What is in my garage that I haven't touched in forever
Right.
that potentially burned, right? Halloween costumes that you put away, things like that. Take your phone out and just spend the day doing that. Put it up in the cloud, you can delete it, whatever, but have it saved somewhere so that if you ever have to go back to it, you have it. I know, again, I know it's tedious to do, but
No,
I
but
think
yeah.
it's something that you can go back to and it would be very helpful.
Yeah.
Evacuation. So when the LA fires were happening, we did call all of our clients that were evacuated and let them know, hey, we want you to know that your policy is active. You have insurance for a reason. We're here for you to answer your questions. One of the questions that people have is, what do I do now? What happens? And something to know is that when it becomes a mandatory evacuation, that triggers coverage for loss of use on your insurance policy for most companies, at least for ours. And so what that means is when it's mandatory, any hotels that you are evacuated to, the food you eat, you want to save all those receipts. That is all if you turn a claim in for a fire, smoke damage, or whatever it is, the receipts for staying in the hotel all comes out of loss of use on your insurance policy. So again, going back to understanding your insurance policy, there's a lot of lines on the insurance policy with coverage that is important to understand and to have so that you make sure that it's not just the home that's covered, it's that everything that you're dealing with during a traumatic circumstance like that is covered as well. So save receipts and the inventory and then evacuation itself. What do I grab? Luckily, photos and things now, we're saying update the photos, make sure they're on the cloud, make sure you do your updates. So I know for me personally, I would want photos of my kids, my family, photo albums I had previously when there was actual tangible photos. That's what I think I would grab first. Personal paperwork, passports, cards, things like that. Maybe make a little, I don't know, a box of those things for you. People have their safes, things like that. But try to start thinking about, I think we got a list from one of our insurance companies that said have clothes for like 5 days at least.
Yeah, that's what I read.
And
Like
yeah,
extra underwear, like
make sure you have all of that. Make sure that foam boards, that's a great one. Any
medications,
medications, contact stuff.
Yeah, I worked on my
Yes.
list.
Look at you. That's great. I love it. You're doing better than me.
But wait, back that up though. So if you're doing video and photos of everything in your house, but you don't have receipts for all that, how does that?
That's fine. I mean, the insurance companies understand.
Okay.
The thing that, not to get too off topic, but one of the things one of the things people don't understand is that the higher limit items, things that grow value, so think artwork, jewelry, anything that appreciates over time, that is not necessarily covered on your personal property. There's usually sublimits for that stuff. So what I would do now, if you're going to be spending time with your insurance, is go get that stuff appraised. And then you can get what's called an inland marine floater, which is a separate separate insurance policy specifically for artwork and jewelry. They're super inexpensive to have, but it will be covered up to the value versus on a homeowner's policy, people may only have $2,500 or $5,000 for artwork. And some of those parts of LA that burned are very nice areas. So, we hope and pray that they had it scheduled properly. But
I think that's a really good thing to touch on, because I think a lot of people would think, well, I have homeowners, like everything in there, all the jewelry, everything. But
it's not. It's not. And I think we'll unfortunately start to hear stories that come out about that kind of stuff, because people don't take the time to understand it until something happens.
Or even if they have it, maybe they didn't put their other stuff on for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Because they just keep renewing.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, it's a big thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other tips you can think of as far as
of now, that's kind of what I got. I mean, I think the inventory thing is just something that's so overlooked and not thought about.
Yeah.
And that really just needs to be done once or twice every once in a while, just to go through it all and remember that you have that, and updating your policy.
Yeah.
Those two things.
I think that's the biggest thing.
Critical.
Awesome.
For sure.
Well, thanks for joining us.
Yeah. Thank you.
And we'll chat later. Thanks.